Hi. This is Vanessa Wishstar,
And Steve Wishstar.
and we are the Wishstar Dream Team, and this is literally during dream hours in the wee early morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Rise and shine, pumpkin. All right, so the reason we're talking about this is our very impromptu conversation because we just wanted to record this. Maybe we'll do like a part 1, part 2 on this. Because I think it's we're more up and awake. But so we were talking about, I think it's really important. So we were talking about this person that I saw on Facebook or online. I think it was online actually. And it was some like get rich scheme, whatever. Not even a get rich scheme. He was just talking about how,
like, here's the secrets to getting rich.
Yeah, exactly. And I was very intrigued actually, and which is weird. And it was just odd. And I just kept on, my main reason of why I was so intrigued is because I could care less about the rich part, but I wanted to find out about, I shouldn't say I don't care about the rich part. I don't care about what he was talking about on the get rich part. But I was very wanting to know how he would get a business manifesting revenue that fast. So he basically totally removed his identity, went out on the streets, had nothing, didn't have a house, and made, they said, the Discovery Channel or whatever asked him to make $1 million in 6 weeks, and he ended up making $5 million in 6 weeks. He wasn't allowed to use his contacts, all this kind of stuff, yada, whatever. And he did it, and I really I'm so stingy with my email, even though I have like 20 emails. I don't know how to get into them. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
So I normally was going to give, my bogus email or whatever, but they're probably going to ask to verify it. So that's why I didn't find out anymore. I still might, but anyhow, we were talking about then, about money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he, like you said, he made a $5 million business within 6 weeks. And we were wondering, what that means to be like valued at $5 million. Is that like potential of making a business, or the potential of it being profitable? Or is it, does he actually have widgets that he's selling, or clients that he's doing, or, a product that he made or whatever? And I was telling Vanessa that, in my engineering mind, I need, an actual product that's finished, or not finished, but, just at least sellable so that it can be sold. And, so that investors, have something that says that's what I'm investing in, instead of investing in the inspirational speech.
Well, no, you're really good at in the creational part, but you're of selling a dream, but it's when it's somebody else's dream that is kind of honestly not really grounded in anything. You know what I'm saying? It's like you were being in the very past, in the way past. There's times in your life where you had people who had a pipe dream instead of a dream of like, hey, this could really work. And it's like you just needed something that was just more based in reality, rather than something so you couldn't meet somebody in this. Well, we're talking about 2 different things, but we can't really talk about that on air. But it was kind of like, when people sell you, it's like, no offense to all the car salesmen, but or salespeople, but it's kind of like that. Like the guy who was doing this, it felt like the used car salesman stereotype of just trying to sell you something, and it felt not genuine, and really. But then it was also questionable of like, wait a second, does he have something here? So anyhow, the point of why we're doing this podcast isn't really to talk about that. It was actually to talk about money. And we might do a part 2 when we're more awake. But what we are talking about is, so this guy, the, salesman, whatever, he was saying, he's like, oh yeah, and then you could have a jet like mine and blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, or, not really, or whatever, meaning like that might not be important or stuff like that. And I loved that he started to just a little bit tinker into that part, because that's what Steve and I were talking about, is that, oh, maybe we need a jet, like,
Jet in and out of Haynes,
yeah,
so we can be independent.
yeah, so we could, even just not be stranded. Yeah, independent, that's a good word for it. So, but then, and what I was talking with Steve about is that even that, I've realized, what did I say? Something about like what matters, or the value of what matters, or the value in matter, and also what's not really valuable. And when he said the jet thing, all I could think of is, oh, he doesn't know that nothing really matters, like, meaning everywhere and every experience that we've ever had, to all of us that we've all had, we had to be in that place and time, not just to learn something or to understand something, but really that it was so valuable. Like if we got stranded in Kansas City and had, when we got stranded in Kansas City and couldn't have a rental car, that was so valuable. So it's just like, a lot of times, let's say you have a jet and you need to get out of somewhere. Either you're going to make a stupid decision because you need to get out, and let's say the weather is really shitty, and then you go anyway, and then, real chaos could come from that. A lot of times with money, we make, unfortunately, foolish decisions because we're so caught up in the physical, in the trying to save ourselves, because we have the ability to. It was like this whole trip coming down here to Florida, it was a constant breaking down our fundamental beliefs about money, about everything, about safety. I don't recommend it. I don't want to do it again, but it completely dismantled the feeling that, oh, if I just had more, I'd be saved. When in fact, I was saved so many times with nothing. And that I would have never learned that with money. I had to have nothing to be able to really, 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 really fundamentally learn that. And I didn't learn that till afterward. I learned that during, but I was still in survival mode. But I didn't really be able to really align that and let that, simmer in my psyche. So pretty much now, of when we get choices, when we have a job now and so forth, of when we can actually make choices. We still can't make choices right now, but we have the potential and possibilities to. And that's really nice. That's a nice little flavoring. But it's really fascinating if you can step back in your own life and really kind of do the Byron Katie work or something like that on your situation of where you go and you question wherever you don't have money and whatever you do want, to go to the place of how is this serving me? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And what am I getting from this? And really, how am I getting more from this rather than thinking that money would save me?
Mm-hmm.
Because we all think it. I don't know one person who doesn't think it. Even if you're rich, you still think it. You want to buy your way out of it, you know? I mean, who doesn't? Who wants to live through all those hellacious experiences?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but being able to do the work on it right away, or while you're going through
You can't.
right? Because that's just what I was thinking about on our trip down here. We couldn't
We were at the mercy of the moment.
But we were just talking about going back to Haynes. About like
Yeah, our return trip.
yeah, or like how are we going to feel when we're there? Like why do we want to live there? Why don't we want to live there? And like for those reasons that we don't want to live there, how can we be okay not wanting to live not wanting to live there, but like return to the realization that we do want to live there even when we don't.
Yeah.
And like you said, we might not be able to get to it right in that moment. Like the ferry broke down and we are in Juneau.
Yeah,
that would be a
which
hard one to
sends
return
me-
to.
Exactly, because we've lived that already,
Uh-huh.
and it was pure hell. Yeah, and I think that's really it, is that you literally, you don't go, you literally take it in the moment. If that's what's going to be happening, that's what's going to be happening, and we could adjust that at that time. But I think because that's foreseen, that's a storytelling, that we get stuck in that of that. We're not there. We're not doing that right now. We're sitting in bed in Florida, at a relative's house, and what looks like living the life, but it's so far from that. Wanting to live our own life, but that's not, available right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, the typical Alaskan attitude, which I always kind of had a little bit of an issue with. But again, do inquiry on it. Okay, great. How can I make do?
That's the Alaska.
Yeah, that's the Alaskan attitude. But okay, well, now I'm Alaskan, so how do I make do? How do I make do where it actually serves me?
Right, because we could actually make do in many situations.
Well, we're super make do people.
Right, exactly.
Like overly, to the place that we didn't.
So we get insulted when we're not called to make do people.
Oh my God, I would be like deeply insulted. Like when people think, like let's say,
we can't handle
like
Alaska.
Yeah, that deeply insults me. Deeply. But I don't know if it deeply insults me if other people think that. I just think they're ridiculous. But for my own self, it is a very personal thing. Not like I'm some adventurous, compared to most people in Alaska, I look super shy. I look urban. But I'm okay with that. I don't need to compete with that or measure up at all. But my thing is that, like, for instance, like of our debt, it has nothing to do with consumerism. But from an outside point of view, people probably would think, oh, you have debt, you're a total consumer. And I'm like, oh my God, that would deeply insult me, And then it's just like, okay, well, I'll just do the work on that because like it's laughable that anything would insult me. So, but that's really that's the money hang up that I think most people have, is that we think money will save us. And are we supposed to be saved?
Mm-hmm.
Because really the saving grace in that situation is the situation,
Mm-hmm.
but we fail to activate it because we're just trying to save ourselves. It's kind of like stop doing the universe's job, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So really take each situation that you're in, let's say financially, and find out what it's offering you in that moment and continued moments, We would, if we had money right now, we would not be in all of these situations.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just take, like, for instance, where we're living right now. Where we're living right now is interesting because the needs of other people in the household are probably are way different than ours. And we're actually, in some ways, I think, I hope, maybe, I don't know, needed, on, like, our presence is, valued and actually desired to a point,
Mm-hmm.
of where at this time, maybe next week will be totally different, but at this time, we need to be here,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Other times, let's say in other situations, our presence maybe was a hindrance, and that was also needed.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
it was needed for that person's growth. It was needed for multiple people's growth and awakening and awareness of what they need to deal with, and what maybe they weren't dealing with, whatever. We're shakers and awakeners. As I call it, I always say, people sometimes say we have bad luck, and I call it, no, we have social engagement, because we tend to really include everybody, even you. But really, and I think that's it, is that, it's not necessarily easy, but it actually, we're helping you get it to be easier, easier than, the pouting and the temper tantrum that we all do, secretly within our own life and our stuckness. And we help people get unstuck, just by showing you how to do it. And it's not pretty. It's not a get rich scheme. It's not a get it easy scheme. That is for sure. But it actually is easy. So the more simplistic you can make it, instead of having it be this, your aha moments really come from your duh moments,
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So maybe there won't be a part 2. We'll keep it short.
We covered it. Go get rich quick.
Yeah. But I think really that's the thing, is that, it all matters. I think that a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't need anything. Really? I do. I need a lot of things. And I think just really honoring, one, your desires, one, your needs, and just really being tender with that, of saying, turn them into, as Tosha Silver talks about, turn them into preferences. Turn your desires into preferences. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful way of saying it and really understanding it. So, you could turn into, I want money, or I need money, or I really need help financially, or whatever. I prefer financial abundance, and get clear with it. And I also, honestly, I do a lot of prayer. Also in my prayer, I do a lot of feeling prayer, of really, I don't do this as much as I maybe could, but who cares? I mean, like it doesn't matter. It just, either just there's no perfection in it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I call on all my guides and angels and even my departed loved ones, who are extended beyond body. And I just call on and I ask for real help, and sometimes I get specific of, hey, I really need financial help or whatever is like that, whatever would be best, and then it comes up in different ways. Yeah. So one of my friends, I didn't finish reading her other message, so hopefully this is okay to mention. But I talked to my friend about this, and I should probably read that. Oh, it's on my phone. Can I do two things at once?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can. Ooh. Okay. Let's see if I could read the message. Oh, I might not be able to. I'm not that. I'm not that savvy. Anyway. My friend Roxy, she goes and says she had this thing of where she had some debt and she was thinking that doing a how do you say it?
Consolidation.
Yeah, consolidation loan. And it was a consolation prize. Anyway, it might be. And so that they were going to use her car as collateral. And so she was like, at this point, like, fine. It's like, oh my God, haven't we all been there? Like, and I'm like taking notes. I'm like, oh, what did they say? Anyway, so she's saying this and she goes, and then all of a sudden, I guess it was that night or something. I guess she was going to bring her car in or something. And her brake lights went out. And she's like, you've got to be shitting me. Like, this is ridiculous. And so she went to, I guess she's just like, screw it. I can't deal with this right now. And then she kind of took a break from it and she was going to go and get them fixed. And then all of a sudden that next morning, she has a flat tire. She went and saw a flat tire, but then it was like completely flat that morning. And she's like, you know what? This doesn't feel right. And I really loved that she, connected those dots, because I think that's really it. It's literally kind of like this simple, like, remember what we talked about in the previous podcast? I guess that was episode 2 about trying. It's like, there's only so much that you can do. And it's just like the trying to me is the aggravation is going against the grain and the pushing. And as soon as you start pushing, it's just like, that's exhausting. And that's not really the way, So she, even as Steve was listening to the story and he was really, were you pretty excited about like her listening?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Her being able to tune in and just accept that feeling, as opposed to pushing through it. Because I would have, pushed through it and like fixed everything or just not recognized signs were signs.
Yeah. And I think, I would love to do a podcast on signs because that's a whole nother podcast, but, because they're not usually as obvious, let's say, as some things like this. But even this, like, let's say, to an outsider, your car breaking down is a sign. But a lot of people would take it the other way.
Right.
They'd be like, great, now I have no collateral.
Yeah, like
great, my car's shit, and now I can't even get a loan.
Mm-hmm.
This is what would go through a majority of people, even mine. Our mindset, instead of being like, whoa, wait a second, maybe this isn't the direction I'm supposed to be going. Don't put the brakes on yet. So it's, to me, I always consider signs as dreams, and how you interpret the dream, and learning how to interpret is really, really important. It's probably more important than the sign itself. Because it really has, like I've gotten really good at interpreting dreams from reading a few books, not about dreams actually at all,
Mm-hmm.
but it was really of like understanding how that everything in your dream is really for you. It's not so literal. I always say, doing dream work is so closely related to my job. Like, it's like the same. It's like if you can interpret and you can understand how dreams are actually trying to help alleviate you and not taking them literally at all, like zero.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the understanding or belief that everybody in a dream is you.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you dream of somebody else, sometimes it's about the other person. For me, it is only just because of what I do, and I invite that, I'm an intuitive medium for those who don't know, or psychic medium, whatever you want to call it, and spirit guide. But what I do, it feels like a dream,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm really good at interpreting in that way. But for, everybody,
The average Steve.
the average Steve, oh my God, that's what we're going to call it.
I'm the average Steve of the dream team.
Oh my God, that is so brilliant. Yeah. So, so for the average Steve,
Sorry, Joe.
who's Joe?
The average Joe.
Oh, who's Joe?
That's right.
Oh my dad? Oh my God, that is so funny. Oh God. Okay. You're hilarious. What am I even talking about?
Interpretations of your dream.
Oh yeah. So it's just like, I think if we like really get, and practice honestly on your dreams. Because when you practice on your dreams, you're able to really practice in real life on the signs, because a lot of people I always hear this, which just aggravates the fuck out of me. Like, it just gets so mad, but it's just dumb that I get mad. But anyhow, people are always like, oh, it's a sign. It's just like, everything's a freaking sign. Like, just like stop signs are a sign, like, oh my God. But I feel like, literally, if you understand that, like really everything is a sign. You're in constant communication. There's no like, oh, special you, special moment, like every moment, even when you're crying, it's they're everywhere. And so it's just like the other thing is just stop looking. I get really kind of like this message is so redundant, I feel, because it's just like so, even I do, it's just like, even like through prayer, help me, help me. And then I think, oh, and I start laughing because I'm like, all right, where am I where am I receiving help? Notice, 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 so yes, it's important to ask, but it's also really important to notice, not notice while you're asking,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Notice what you noticed before you asked.
Exactly. Because it comes before you even ask,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of like the gratitude part. It's like a lot of people are like, oh, well, just have abundant gratitude. It's like, yeah, that's great. But also, honestly, notice,
Mm-hmm.
just notice, almost have not even an interpretation of gratitude. It's good when they say that. For most people, it's helpful because I don't think that they are even aware that
Well, it's hard
they
to
could
tie
be
it.
grateful. Yeah. It's like, how can you be grateful when your, brake lights are out and you're like, shit,
Mm-hmm.
there's another expense. Let's just tack this on,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I mean, that's reality. Been there many, many, many times.
But yeah, it's along with the saying of you can manifest your destiny, or manifest what you want just as you ask for it. Look for what's present beforehand.
Yeah, what's
Like you
already
already
provided.
manifested it,
Yes.
but you released yourself to ask, and you released yourself to feel it, um, and therefore you pretty much released yourself to having it, which if you realize you already do have it in some way, or something, you have something,
Yes.
whether that
In
was,
some form.
yeah, whether that was a just learning moment, or experiencing moment, or a path to actually having it, or a path to realizing you don't need it, or a path to somebody else has it so you're happy about it, or or something.
So let's like literally take Roxy's example. Okay. So her car's breaking down. She's trying to get what is it?
Consolidation
I
loan.
can't say it. What? A consolidation loan.
Yep.
And I need to have it written out. Anyway, she's trying to get that loan. Her car breaks down. They're asking for her car's collateral. Her car is breaking down. So here is the cha-ching, cha-ching. In the average Steve mind, one's going to think, great, now I need to go and pay this. Oh my God, I don't have the funds to be putting towards this, blah, 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 blah. So if I were to do the work or whatever on it, let's be Roxy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And I would say, fuck. Then I'd breathe and cry and, have my temper tantrum. After that, I would probably notice, okay, what's going on
What's
here?
your thought?
So my first thought would be, well, no, I can't say my first thought. My first thought would be, a lot of curse words.
Mm-hmm.
Second thought would probably be, okay, what else is going on here? Step back. I kind of go to the moon or wherever you want to go. And I'd step back from it. And then I'd say, or I'd think or feel, money's being regenerated. I'm being asked for more and for money to be moving. So this is energy moving. Anytime when there's more, when I feel lack, that's when movement happens, meaning it's being required. Something's being charged. Something needs to be moving. So it's getting energy in movement. So what is it?
Consolidation.
A consolidation loan to me is stagnant. It's holding, it's protecting, it's stillness. It's a lock.
Mm-hmm.
It's immediate lock of can't spend any more, and just so you could pay it off. It's not an energy mover,
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would interpret is, well, my brake lights are out. I shouldn't stop here.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean I should go because it's illegal
Right.
to drive around with brake lights, but it doesn't mean I should stop here. Now, the tire being flat, I definitely should not be going. I can't move.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be very interested of which tire it is. So contact me, Roxy.
Mm-hmm.
But because that also is parts of the body, your car's your body, same with your house is the body, the bigger body, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and you could just Google search that of like what part of your car is breaking down. There's always interpretations. Again, take that online interpretation and tailor it to yours. But I would say I can't move. I'm deflated,
Mm-hmm.
So what's here right now? What is being required? Well, shouldn't even be driving my car. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe somebody else needs to, somehow, however I need to get to work or whatever I need to do, something's going to be replacing that situation.
You have to think of it a different way.
Well, yeah, we'll have a different way brought to you. So you're being asked to create. You're being asked to be in the space of it,
Mm-hmm.
the in between,
Mm-hmm.
the space in between. You're
Right.
not
That's
being
definitely
asked
important.
to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Pause.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
being asked to pause.
Because you've already, for the consolidation loan, we've already made the decision to do it, but then we're being asked to pause and think about it.
Yeah, maybe not think about it.
Or just.
I
be
mean,
with it.
yes, think about. Yeah, no, I shouldn't correct you. Yes, being being able to think about it. Being able to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe that's really it. Just able,
Mm-hmm.
not have to,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And what happens is that something else might be coming up of how that might be more helpful
Mm-hmm.
instead of going on the route that you think that you should be.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's also, I will guarantee you, as most people who have any type of debt, for whatever reason, even if it is consumerism, congratulations, I'm so proud of you. Because that's hard for me, you know? So, but to really go into the place of where you're guilty and have a lot of forgiveness for that, you know, because I think that there's so much guilt surrounded about and shame around money,
Mm-hmm.
and especially around debt. So much shame.
Mm-hmm.
Are your legs asleep?
My back was
Oh, hurting.
hurting.
Oh, that's money. Where in your low back?
Mm-hmm.
That's money. Baby geeks, that's a body mind.
Because we're talking about it.
Yep. Yeah, low back is all money. It's all that.
I'm the average Steve when it comes to.
I love the average Steve. Hot. Yeah, so I think that's really, so if you could like let's say that, like for instance, your back is hurting. That's it trying, you know, you would immediately think, "Oh God, I have money problems." Da, 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 da. Well, maybe it's coming up to release it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the body memory of what you've been holding. You know, pain is always coming. Pain, the awareness of pain is coming up to be released. It's not coming up for more suffering and tortured. It needs to be released. It needs to be felt. So can you just be with it as if it were a little child having a temper tantrum and just be there? It's the felt perception, as Michael Brown always talks about. You know, so it's like really just being with that low back pain and honoring that it's there. And then go on and do the dishes or whatever you need to do, you know. But these are, I think it's good that we brought this up because I think it's just the basic how we all are, you know, like there's no figuring it out. I don't think that I think everything is a helpful tool, but the more we can just literally accept it of what it is, that we're not dead. You know, I think a lot of times we think we have this torturous story of, oh God, this is so, I mean, really, if you looked at our finances right now, you would beyond cry. You couldn't handle it. Like, it's just such a shit show. And what's worse is that it's nothing. It's a no fault situation. And aren't they all no fault? We think that there's fault in there, and I will promise you, there is not. It is a situation. If you go deeper and deeper and deeper, there is a reason why. Let's take a hoarder, okay? Someone who hoards, let's say they go in complete debt because they hoarded tons of stuff and they consumed, you know, they were an eBay shopper and that's all they did, and then they have giant amounts of debt. That is so easy for an outsider to blame. It's so easy for them to blame, whatever. What's the deeper, you know, significance of that situation? They had to maybe get there. That was their way through, you know? There's so much forgiveness work in there, you know, rich with forgiveness work, you know. Where are we hoarding, you know, in our own lives when we witness that, you know, and have that judgment? What are we holding on to? Our houses, our safety.
Yes,
Ding, 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 everybody. Like, who doesn't do that, you know? We think we're safe with something. You know, how many times do we lose something and all we do is want to try to find it? Nobody feels safe when you lose something and be like, whatever, didn't need it anyway. Rarely is that the case, you know? And as, who is it? Florence Scovel Shinn, my favorite author of the 20s and 30s. And she always talks about when you lose something, ask, you're not asking for it back. You call it back to you in the way of saying, let it come back to me, or its equivalent. So you really release it of that it might not be serving you any longer, even if you think it is or isn't, whatever, even if you think it is. But you do ask for the energy equivalent of it, so it doesn't mean that you are constantly in loss. I mean, you can look at our life and there's a lot of grief because it's a lot of loss.
Mm-hmm.
And how much we've gained in non-form has been so huge and abundant that we would have never understood this if we didn't experience this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm so grateful for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Not like I want to repeat it,
Mm-hmm.
or even relive this. Like, I can't wait to have a boring life, but maybe not. Maybe I'm really okay with this, and I am okay with it. It's easier said now,
Right.
not during survival time. But that was valuable, even survival time. Everything has to happen however it does. It's really, our suffering is our mindset. And, I think that we set ourselves up of thinking if we could handle something or not. And it's not really about handling it, It's about really just being able to be in it and allow it and be witness to all the support and love and purpose that it does have and it does hold, and it's all temporary. I think that we forget that a lot of times, all of it, even being rich, it's all temporary. And how can we really, even being here, embrace that temporariness and be in joy in that of the non-attachment. Yeah. So let your back bring up when it needs to bring up. Envision yourself kissing it, all of you, wherever you hurt, wherever your pain is, because the pain is bringing your attention to be back into the body. I think we check out a lot of times and we're little hovercrafts, over our own body, and we're here in body, for activation. And it really is helpful the more embodied you can get, as long as it doesn't matter, of how the body is, but it really can be a really good tool to use and to appreciate and to love and to make that be your vehicle for source to flow through. And you're already doing it. You all are doing it. Even when you're not aware of it, you're still doing it. You're still activating. You're still these amazing beings. All of us are. We're getting it, really just stop trying, kind of say it's like waking up in now. Now. So yeah, money's energy. Follow the flow. It's just your friend, It's just, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hoard your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Let it just be itself. Have fun with it and play. No guilt. Let it go. Let it be free. Just have fun.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
I love you.
I love you too.
All right, you guys. Signing off. Oh, this is a 45-minute one. It's a longer one. It deserves it. All right. Love you. Bye.
Love you too. Bye.